Arizona is pro sports retirement.
You had no chance with Kelly Kapowski.
We don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents.
You only live once.
Run wild on you.
Who would have seen this coming? Oh yeah, it was Frank on tackling dummies.
What's cracking, everybody? James Coe, Adam Rank here with you. We are the Tackling Dummies, just two idiots talking about football. Adam Rank, what's cracking, dude? How you doing?
What's going on? I just want to let everybody know that I was shopping in the same place as Adam Scott. So this is what's happening today. This is what I do.
Good. You're looking good.
I was. Somebody's like, "Who do you think you are, Adam Scott?"
Good.
And I'm like, "Well, I missed the cut, so yes."
Did you have the white belt energy today, or no?
No, that's why I didn't play so well. I didn't have the white belt energy. I should have worn it. I think I had the white hat, white shoes. I should have worn the white belt, but did not.
Dude, you had the white hat and the white shoes, and you didn't go white belt?
No, it was in my car, and I forgot it because you had to rush off. When you're the first, like we thought we were the first ones off the tee. Like they let out a foursome, then a three, and then it was me and my buddy, and they paired us with somebody else, and I got thrown off. I got thrown off because I think that nobody cares about this. So no, when you don't get rewarded for good shots, it starts. That hurts worse than anything else. Like, I'm making.
So what are we talking about? Like you hit one down the fairway and then what? You shank your second shot? Like, what are we talking here?
No. Like you're on a par 3 and you just hit one and it just hits the green and bounces like a trampoline.
Oh,
off.
I see.
You're like, oh, that made sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that stinks. I hate that.
Happens.
Great show in front of us here today. We're going to be talking about, we're going to put our GM hats on. Like, we know about some of the trade destinations possibly that Julio Jones could go to. We will certainly dive into that. Tom Brady had an epic tweet this morning, which is just awesome, man. His tweeting game is just, it's legit. Can't wait to show you that. And also a tweet showing AJ Dillon standing next to Aaron Jones and looking like an absolute monster, and really, actually, more shockingly, making Aaron Jones look like an absolute child. So get into all those things. But I want to start off with this Julio Jones thing, Adam Rank. You know, obviously making a lot of waves. It was on Shannon Sharp's show. What is that? Shannon and Skip, or Undisputed, I think is the name of the show, right? So Shannon calls up Julio and ask him what's the deal, right? And obviously we know that Julio then, was quoted as saying, I'm out of here, or I'm out of there, right? Referring to Atlanta. Yeah. I guess, I don't know, man. Like there's a lot of kind of outrage, I guess, Shannon calling him up. And it's because Shannon did not tell Julio off the jump that he was on live TV. I don't know. What was your take on that whole situation?
Well, I believe that in the olden days, you will remember, producers, if you ever wanted to put somebody on the radio or anything like that, they would have to let you know, like, you're going to be on the air, just to let you know. Like, I think there is some rule about that, but it feels like nothing matters anymore. Like, everybody's filming from their homes. We have social media everywhere. Like, everything is the Truman Show. Like everything, like one of these days, like you even tried to do it yourself with my temper on the golf course, where I make Billy Horschel seem like the church lady or whatever. And it's just not, you have to expect that there's going to be, that somebody's putting something on blast, and it's, I think Julio doesn't care. I think that Shannon,
that's kind of my point. Yeah.
Like Julio's like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to Dallas. I'm out of Atlanta, which is always interesting to me. And if I could say this, I know we're going to jump into some trade things. And I was thinking about this on the way home today.
Okay.
It's so interesting because the NFL, it changes on a dime every year. And it's hard because there's 22 guys. Like, it's a big team. It's not like basketball makes sense. Two guys can change an entire franchise.
One guy can, absolutely.
One guy can do that. And you think about baseball, it's impossible to change your fortune. Like the Angels have Trout and Ohtani. And I know nobody knows who Jared Walsh is, but trust me, he's a very good baseball player. They still have Anthony Rendon, and still it's not enough because there's so many factors in there. But the NFL changes so quickly year to year. It's like Julio, like there's no such thing as I'm going to go play for a winner. Because whatever team that you get traded to could end up being dog S, like immediately. So it's
100%.
crazy. Like, why do you want out of Atlanta? I think that you have a really good situation there. Matt Ryan is he just turned 36 or he's turning 37, which is like 30 in quarterback years.
Yeah.
You got Calvin Ridley. You just drafted Kyle Pitts. Your defense sucks, so you're going to have to throw the ball all the time. Like, I don't know. Why do you want to leave? What's the issue? Talk to me. Does he not like Arthur Smith?
Well, here's the thing. I don't even know if he wants to leave, but he
said I'm out of it.
But that's because they put his name out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you're Julio, you're an all-time great. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer. By the way, hello, Richard Campa. But if you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats, and the team you're on, the team that you've shown nothing but loyalty to, is then putting your name out there in the streets about wanting to trade you away, how are you going to feel about that? I'm going to be like, yeah, get rid of me, dude. I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can go wherever I want. If I left the team tomorrow, there's 31 other teams knocking on my door to retain my services. So if I'm Julio, I get that. But in regards to what Shannon did, first of all, not cool. Like, if you're Shannon, that's not cool. Like, you got to tell him that he's going to be on TV. Now, that being said, I agree with you. I don't think Julio cared. And also, I will say this. If Shannon Sharp is calling you, and the first thing he asks you, doesn't ask about your kids, doesn't ask about how you're doing, doesn't ask about nothing. The first thing he asks you is, hey, what's going on with Atlanta? You know, I think if you're Julio, you've been in the game long enough. You know that Shannon is digging for something. And I tell you what, even if it's not live on air, you know he's going to use the contents of that conversation at some point, right? Like Shannon's going to go at some point say, oh, I talked to my boy, I talked to my dog Julio, and he said X. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think the outrage, I understand both sides of it. You know, you would have liked, if you're Shannon, you would have liked to see him kind of at least give your guy a heads up, man. Like, oh, hey, listen, we're live, bro. So what's going on with Atlanta? That would have been cool. No?
That was a setup.
Okay.
Not on Julio's part, but the producers know very well. And listen, I like Shannon Sharp. I think that he's grown on me as a broadcaster. Even though he was dogging Jacksonville for whatever. In any event, I just feel like the producers have to be like, Shannon, don't do this. Like, he's not going to know that it's on the air, but somebody was there. You know, we've worked in television long enough who's like, oh, this will be great. See if you can catch him. Like it's a Harvey Levin type thing. Like it's a TMZ type of style. And like, I'm not degrading it, but it's like, also these shows need ratings and they're not stupid. Like, people have been talking about Undisputed and talking about Shannon Sharp, and if you go out there and do something like this, like, there's going to be no repercussions for Shannon Sharp. Like, there's not somebody higher up who's going to be like, hey, don't get our name on Twitter. Yeah. And it's good publicity. Like, it really is. It drew a lot of attention. People, and honestly, like, that show's on so early in the morning. But like, you know, I'm aware of it now. I mean, I like Good Morning Football, but I'm aware of it now. I'm like, okay, you do your thing, Shannon. Like, whatever. Like, get over it. Like, he's fine. And I think, again, Julio cared as much as Brooks Koepka did that video got leaked.
Yeah, exactly.
Brooks does not give a F.
No, he doesn't care
I know,
at all.
and I'm surprised so many people are on Brooks Koepka's side. Like, I feel it. Like, I've had a terrible coworker, and I know where Brooks is coming from.
I just want to apologize to you all these years after the fact, Adam Rick. So,
but it's funny because I think most people, like Brooks, it's kind of a dick, like, in a way.
Oh, he's a huge dick. What do you like? Why is anyone like? It's funny to me when people are like, "Oh, I love Brooks in this situation." Yeah. Like, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, don't get me wrong. Listen, it is a funny ass situation. Super funny. Like, I love it. But Brooks is being a dick. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, I think I identify with Brooks because I'm a dick. So it just makes sense. Like, that's where I come off. Like, Brooks and I are cool guys who are like, yeah, like whatever.
Wow.
I think the majority of America is the dweeb who's trying to fit in. I don't know why you guys are now like you're siding with Scott Farkas, but not Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Like, hey, we're all kind of like, actually, you know, I feel bad because like I do identify with Bryson in the way of like, hey, I've worked really hard to do what I do, and like people will be dismissive, like, but Bryson's such a douche. Like, I just can't do it. Like, I know it's apparently his initials or whatever, but his yardage book is BAD. Actually, it's not his initials. He's got another middle name that he does not acknowledge. So he's just being like, I'm bad. Like, oh, dude, you're a clown. Like, I probably shouldn't like either of you, but I like Brooks. Brooks is the jerky friend. I just surprised, like, no disrespect, because I'm friends with Will Brinson, but it's like, well, you're not cool. Like, why are you trying to identify? Like, no, I would tell Will to his face if he was here. I'd be like, Will, like, you're not cool. Like, why? Like,
man.
you know, all these, should I just go scorched earth and be like, you're not cool.
Yes.
You're not. David Carr. David Carr's a little too nice to be on Brooks's side. Like, hey, like, no, you don't. Like, no.
That's true.
But I know that David doesn't like Bryson. So it's like, it's one of those
why?
things. There's something about Bryson that just rubs us the wrong way.
Yeah,
I think it's too much. Like, when he was just the nerdy science guy, I was like a huge Bryson fan. But
And
when
then
he
what?
came
Then
up
he like
looking
pumped it up?
Then when he came out like Jinder Mahal, just showed up all yoked. Actually, he's not ripped. That's the thing. It's like he's bulky.
No, he's not. Yeah, he's
like
just
a
big
bulky,
and bulky.
he looks like Arn Anderson from the 70s.
Wow.
But,
good call.
No, but
he
he's
does,
not, like,
actually.
you know what I'm saying? Like that. Like he's a 70s pro wrestler. He's not Rick Rude. So, and by the way, I don't know. I like Brooks. And I also like that the last 2 years, I think we've overlooked the fact that he's been in the final pairing of the PGA and just has been overwhelmed. Colin Morikawa did it to him, and Phil did it to him this year. But I still
Isn't
like
it funny
Brooks.
too? Because going into both PGAs, I can't believe we're talking about this, but going into both PGAs, I think Brooks was heavily favored.
Oh my God!
In both matchups, and then just got run over.
Yeah. Well, Colin benefited from there being, like, no disrespect, but like no crowd, no pressure. Like, yeah, he could go out and play his game, and
I mean, that being said,
then there was a crowd
that
there
shot
for
he had. I mean, that shot that he had, what was it, on 15 where he cut across? That was just, Colin's shot was just gorgeous.
I think it was 16,
and that super, super aggressive. And I love that.
Yeah, because the guy was on the, who was it Harmon was Harmon there at the end last year and was on the tee box on 17 and just watched that shot and was like, well, I lost this tournament.
Anyways, we're going to actually get to that tweet, to that meme. It's become a meme now, which is great. We're going to get to that meme in just a bit, but let's talk about Julio Jones here. I'll throw it out to you first. We got a few. Look, at this point, I think people are familiar with the potential trade destinations, but I thought it would be fun to kind of put our GM hats on and look at some kind of, I don't want to say outside the box trades, but right now when we're talking about NFL trades, and would you agree with this, Adam Rank? When we're talking about NFL trades, it is always 99 times out of 100, it is always player for draft picks. Yeah. And that's it. There's never any player for player swaps or player for player and draft pick swap. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I wanted to kind of align what Atlanta is saying, which is we are in win now mode, which means it'd be nice to get a player back that would help Atlanta, but also help their draft or help their cap situation and maybe kind of help them kind of win now. But while at the same time, it might help the other team as well. I'll explain. I'll throw this first one out to you.
Okay.
If you were the GM of New England, your coach Bill Belichick, would you trade a first-round draft pick for Julio Jones?
I mean, is that the going rate? I think that, I don't know.
I don't think it is.
Are they a Julio away from winning? They probably think that they are. I would entertain that. I mean, New England, they bomb. They don't usually do very well with their picks anyways. I mean, like, it's kind of a weird situation. Like, they don't draft as well as you think they would.
Right.
I would do it if I was them. A first rounder seems extravagant.
But
I would do it. I think I would do it. By the way, before we throw out another one. So I don't know. Before you tell me about that, the whole thing with Dallas is one of the teams that makes the most sense because they can trade you trade a Michael Gallup back.
Oh, right.
So like don't dismiss that altogether, Julio. You might end up playing for Dallas, so don't drag them too hard. I don't know. New England, fine. Let's give them a first rounder. What do you think?
Yeah, I think are you overpaying for Julio, a 32-year-old, receiver that only played 9 games? Yeah, you're overpaying.
Sure.
I think the going rate is definitely a second rounder. But that being said, if Bill feels like, okay, listen, they obviously overspent this offseason looking for pass catchers. So they're clearly in the market. And not only are they in the market for pass catchers, they're clearly in the market to overspend for pass catchers. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe they gave, Nelson Aguilar the deal they gave him. It's like, come on, dude, really? It's crazy. So to get a bona fide stud, and remember, New England has done this kind of before when they brought in Randy Moss. So I think Bill is kind of familiar with bringing in an older, but, still studly wide receiver. So I do think it kind of sort of makes sense a little bit for me. I will throw out a second one. This is the one that I'm mostly intrigued by this one. But if you were Cleveland, Adam Rank, would you trade Odell for Julio and a third-round draft pick?
Ooh, so Julio would go back to play with the Browns, a team that traded away the pick that allowed the Falcons to take him. That's interesting. I mean, if I'm Cleveland, of the receivers I would rather have, believe it or not, I think I would want to stick with Odell Beckham Jr. He's younger.
Yep.
I think that, he kind of embraced the vibe of going to Cleveland. And we talked about this a little bit last week when we were talking about Aaron Rodgers and why the Browns have really taken to Baker Mayfield. Is that these guys willingly went to Cleveland and have tried to make Cleveland a thing. I really do believe. I know that you think that Kevin Stefanski sucks as a coach, but
no, I don't.
You said he's awful. You're like, they're going to solve that. You said they're going to solve that clown and they're going to make him look stupid. I said, go watch the show from last week. That's exactly what you said. Verbatim. Which is fine. That's no big deal.
Completely inaccurate. I love Kevin Stefanski. Oh, God, jeez. All right. Keep going.
Don't worry about it. Don't even sweat it. You're fine. I would rather. I think I would stick with OBJ.
To me, if I am Cleveland, I would do that deal in a heartbeat. Not only are you getting a draft pick back, and I get it. Again, Julio, older player, he's going to cost you a lot more. You've got the cap space to absorb it, so it works. But this is a little bit of real talk here, but I think Baker Mayfield has actually looked better with Odell off the field. I'm not saying they're a better team with Odell off the field, but I don't think you lose anything. Certainly you're not losing anything when you bring a guy like Julio back. And to me, it's kind of like he gives you a little something different in terms of a size guy. Odell, I love him. Future Hall of Famer. I mean, this guy is an unbelievable talent. Now, that being said, Julio is in that same class, even 3 years older than Odell. And not only that, I think he gives you a little bit more of a bigger target. For a guy like Baker who has struggled at times with accuracy, I think that's important. So to me, I think that's a no-brainer for Cleveland. No?
You've convinced me. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, sounds good.
I like it. It makes sense. I get what you're saying. It makes sense. I don't know. I just like the whole. I don't know. I'm romantic that way about guys who've wanted to be in Cleveland, and the whole thing with Jarvis Landry. I feel like there's good chemistry there. I don't know. I don't know if you're Cleveland if you want to just start messing things up right now, trying to get too big for your britches. I don't know.
It's interesting. Another trade scenario. If you were the Colts, Would you trade T.Y. Hilton and a second rounder
Oh yeah.
for Julio Jones?
Whatever they
So
want.
now,
Anything
yeah, now
outside
it would
of-
be like,
You can't have Quentin Nelson. You can't have Jonathan Taylor. Maybe. I don't care.
Right.
No Jonathan Taylor. But
No, can't have-
no, I
no.
would 100%. I would TY, like whatever. Like I would even think that if I'm the Colts, and I don't know
Yeah.
if they have a first round pick available, but I would actually be willing to just give them the first round pick if they needed it. If they wanted a player back and they want T.Y. Hilton as a stopgap because you want to win this season, okay.
Right.
I probably wouldn't go with I would want to keep Michael Pittman, but could be talked into it. But I even think of like Paris Campbell too. Well, Paris Campbell you need to get rid of because he's somehow attached to number 11. And maybe if it was Julio, he would be more willing to give up number 11 than he was with Carson. But at the same time,
Right.
like I think Indianapolis is a team that'd be like, whatever it takes. Because I know Tennessee is in the mix. And you don't want to see them go to Tennessee and be like, dude, Indianapolis, like we've got a nice thing going here too. And
For
we're
sure.
in win now mode. I think Tennessee has a little bit of an advantage because I think Ryan Tannehill at this point, a lot better than Carson Wentz.
yeah.
And I think pairing Julio with AJ Brown, I know we're trying to find fun scenarios, but yeah,
Right.
if I'm the Colts, I'd be working overtime to figure out how to make that deal possible.
I mean, if you think about that, you've got your help. You're really, I know you invested in Carson Wentz, but now you're really helping him out, right? Like
Yeah.
you get a guy like Julio Jones, and think about that, think about that 1-2 combination of Julio Jones and Michael Pittman. That's really nice. That's a nice combo.
That'd be huge.
Pittman kind of sort of swallowing up targets underneath Julio, kind of, wrecking havoc everywhere else. Jonathan Taylor, doing damage on the ground. Great O-line too. I mean, to me, I agree with you, man. If I'm Indianapolis, I just figure out a way to make that happen. Now, again, I'm just throwing out trade scenarios, and we know it's not going to happen because it's always a player for a draft pick. But and imagine that if Indianapolis is like, you know what, screw it, we're going to give you 2 second rounders, right? We'll give you 2 second rounders. You give us Julio. Now it's Julio, T.Y., and Michael Pittman. Hello, give me that. You know what I mean? Like now all of a sudden the Colts go from like, okay, maybe we're a playoff team to no. You're definitely in the playoff. You're definitely a playoff team. Now you're in the mix to challenge the Ravens and the Chiefs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of,
No, for sure.
top dog status. That's what I love about that. So, and if that's what it would cost you, 2 second round picks,
Whatever.
you do that in a heartbeat. Yeah, you do that.
100%. Yeah, whatever they need. I would try to make
whatever.
that happen.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Last one for you, Adam Rank. I think you got a crazy one that I'm not even sure what the details are, and you could throw that one out. But last one for you. San Francisco. This one is an interesting one because I know how both fan bases would take it. But if you're San Francisco's GM, would you trade Brandon Ayuk on his rookie deal straight up for Julio Jones?
Man, that's spicy for me because I really do believe that Brandon Ayuk is ready to break out, and it gives them so much flexibility over the next couple of years. I would say no if I'm San Francisco. If I'm Atlanta, I happily take that trade because that makes.
See, I think Atlanta would say. I think Atlanta would say no to that too.
Oh no, I think Atlanta would be wise to take that with Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, and Brandon Ayuk, guys playing on Calvin Ridley. His contract might be coming up soon.
Yeah, it's coming up soon.
But when you have Ayuk and Kyle Pitts on rookie deals for the next 4 or 5 years,
Yeah,
rework it for Calvin Ridley, get him signed long term. Oh, I make that deal in a heartbeat if I'm the Falcons. 49ers, it's a tougher sell for me.
For me, it's kind of like I almost feel like both fan bases would say no, which is why I think this is like an interesting one and probably will never happen. But I don't know. Look, listen, fans, everybody becomes enamored with upside. And listen, I'm 100% guilty of that, right?
Yeah.
I love upside. Now, that being said, that's what we're talking about with Brandon Ayuk is upside. We don't know if he's going to develop into the player that we think he can be. We definitely think he can be an absolute stud, but we don't know that, right? With Julio, you know what you are getting. You're getting a consummate professional guy who's been in the league all these years. He knows the Kyle Shanahan offense, by the way. What a great reunion that would be. And he's a guy that could, again, you pair him with George Kittle and Deebo Samuel, forget about it, man. You know what I'm saying? So I think to me, it's kind of like if I'm San Francisco, I'm actually entertaining that idea. I kind of sort of like that idea, especially if you're thinking, hey, let's make some noise in the NFC right now. Like, let's give Trey Lance that big body wide receiver veteran that he can lean on game in and game out. That's what I kind of sort of love about that deal for San Francisco.
All right. That's not bad.
But you got a crazy 3-team deal that I hadn't heard of, but when you were kind of sort of laying out to me pre-show, I kind of sort of liked it, man.
Yeah, I saw this on, I believe it was Instagram. It was I'm so sorry. I wish I could give the kid credit, whomever came up with this, but it was kind of an NBA style. Maybe it was Twitter, but it was an NBA style trade. Like NBA GMs would nail this in about a half hour.
Oh, yeah.
And what they would do, you would have the Packers, Steelers, and Falcons commit a trade. And so the Packers would send Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh would send Chase Claypool and picks to Atlanta.
Nice.
And then Atlanta would send Matt Ryan and Julio Jones to Green Bay.
God.
And
Can
I don't know
you
what
imagine?
I don't know what happened to Ben Roethlisberger. I think he just DFA Ben Roethlisberger at this point.
Just decommission him, huh? All right.
Yeah, like whatever. Like why? Like that's the whole thing too with like Steeler fans. When I did predictions for the NFL's YouTube page, it's getting 100,000 views, by the way. Like all the Steeler fans, like I don't know what you think the Steelers aren't going to be good. You're like, bro, Ben Roethlisberger's not playing 16 games, and if he is, it's not going to be good. Like Steeler fans are still living in pretty heavy denial about how good their team is. Like you guys were terrible at the end.
Did they
of
not
last
watch
season.
the last 7, 8
Oh, my
games of the
God.
season? My
That's
God.
And they didn't
The
really.
Steelers were bad.
And I'm like, you think that Najee Harris is solving all of your problems? Like, good Lord, you got smoked by the Browns. You're not coming back.
And the problem is, too, the division is one of the most difficult divisions in football, man. Baltimore, studs. Cincinnati with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They're not studs. Their defense is still trash, but much improved. They're not an easy out, right? And again, you think about Cleveland, what they're doing, what they're putting on paper. It's like, man, that division is tough, man. That division is super tough. So, yeah, I agree. I think the Steelers are going to have an absolute tough time of it in 2021.
Unless
but I
they
love
have
that
Aaron
trade
Rodgers.
scenario.
If they
I
have
love
Aaron
that
Rodgers,
trade.
it'll be better.
Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine? Forget about
Finally-
it. Like, I would love that.
And I think it would really please Dave Damashek. Who for
Yeah, you
years
think?
he's been like sort of a pseudo Packers fan this whole time, cheering for Aaron Rodgers. Like I remember being at the Super Bowl with Dave and him not really being bummed that the Packers beat the Steelers. He was just like, and I was like, this is wild. Like, you don't care? Like you're not in, like I would be losing my mind.
I feel as if this is a highly exaggerated story.
No,
I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
We were in a
I'm just
press
saying.
box. We were hanging out with Gil Brandt.
Okay.
And Dave was there, almost cheering for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh wow.
Almost
I
cheering
feel
for
as if if I asked Damashek about this, I feel he would give a different account of this.
Oh no, he'd be like,
No?
listen, fella. He would start going into something because I think like Dave's also old enough to have witnessed like every Steelers championship.
Okay.
Or yeah, every Steelers championship. Maybe not the first couple, but at least the last two of Bradshaw, and then the other two. So he's seen a good 4 of them at least. And then like it's kind of like being a Laker fan. Like this is the obnoxiousness of being a Lakers fan. Is the year that we had Karl Malone and Gary Payton, and they lost to the Pistons in the finals. Yeah,
Yep.
I wasn't too bummed about that at all. Like I remember the first game, I was at the Tustin Brewing Company, and Detroit won game 1, and I'm like, I hate Detroit, so that part of it was like, God, I don't want the Pistons to win because I hate the Pistons still, but I still don't want Karl Malone to win. Like I've never felt great about this. Gary Payton, maybe like, all right.
Yeah.
Like what, like when Steph becomes a Laker, like I won't hate that, but like Gary Payton, like, all right, we've taken in others, other players from other teams before. So Payton's as bad. Not as bad as
it
Malone.
makes sense. Well, it makes sense because when the Lakers were coming up, the Kobe Shaq era, Payton was kind of sort of done already, like he was good, but the Seattle Sonics, they weren't good, and but those battles that those early young Laker teams had against Utah and John Stockton, Karl Malone beating them in the playoffs, Kobe Bryant airballing 4 straight shots in a closeout game. Those were painful losses, and it was always at the hands of Karl Malone and John Stockton. So no, I get that, man. I understand that 100%.
Yeah. So I was kind of, so like the embarrassment of riches, like Clippers fans wouldn't care. Like they just wouldn't care. Like Clippers would do anything they could to win a championship. They'd even tank to play a team and go down 0-2 at home, but they would love, like, so they don't understand we've got enough of these championships. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Speaking of guys who have won a lot of championships, how about this guy right here? This was from Tom Brady, man, which is very, I love it. By the way, the laser eyes for Tom Brady. The dude's into crypto. I love it. Call him Tom Bitcoin if you want. But no, I love the fact that he did this, man. Packers kicking a field goal down 7. I think they were down 8 at the time, but who cares? And then Aaron Rodgers right there.
Dude, what is he doing?
I love it, man.
Tom Brady's the greatest. And I know a lot of people will say like, oh, he doesn't do those himself. You know what? He's got to sign off on it.
Yes, he does.
He's not.
Yes, he does.
Like a lot of people are like, oh, don't put that out there.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't think any other who else would do this? No one. I literally think no other player in the league would do this. Only Tom Brady. That's what I love about this.
Oh, and it was against their, oh my God, that's so great.
But that's what I mean.
This might, you know what? This could backfire. This might bring Aaron Rodgers back to Green Bay.
No.
I hope not. I don't
think so.
I think Kenny Mayne also spoke for all of us too. At the end of his show. That was so great.
First of all, you're taking it as if he was serious. He wasn't.
He was serious.
No, he wasn't.
Kenny Mayne has lost money on cryptocurrency. He lost his job. I'd be pissed at Aaron Rodgers too. I took that as 100% serious.
No, that's inaccurate. That's not what happened.
By the way, did you see a lot of those old Kenny Mayne commercials?
I love every single Kenny Mayne commercial, period.
I forgot, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. He had dark hair. I had just been so familiar with, gotten so used to him. Although I will say this about Kenny Mayne. It had a Letterman vibe, like Letterman's retirement vibe to it, because when Letterman retired, and I remember I was telling my friend, and I might have tweeted this out even, but I said, the thing about Letterman is that the time that I was really into him was a long time ago. And you just sort of take for granted that they're always going to be there. So when they're retiring, you're like, oh, I wish I would have spent more time enjoying the last couple of years. But I was really into it in the 90s. You know, like when Letterman would have the Beastie Boys on or something. I know for a lot of people, when they came out, and it wasn't sabotage. But it was one of their earlier songs where they were out there playing their own instruments. And I know it blew people away. I know you will see, like, if you go watch the YouTube video of the Beastie Boys playing Sabotage on the Letterman show, like, all the comments are like guys being like, they play instruments? Like, who knew? Like, not well. Like, you can see that Ad Rock's playing like one chord. But whatever. He's out there doing it.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, it was the same thing with Kenny Mayne. It's like, oh, my God, the 90s? Like, never missed Sports Center. Like, it was always such a huge thing. Kenny Mayne, I believe it or not, I don't want to admit this now, but, like, Kilborn was my favorite. But I was also a big Kenny Mayne person. And, no, I was. Like, I was a Kilborn guy. Like, I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to run from it. By the way, Kilborn, like, when you think of The Daily Show, you're like, oh, yeah, Kilborn left Sports Center to do The Daily Show and left that. Oh, no, he went to CBS. He was fine. He was in Old School. He's okay. But
he was fine. He was fine. He decided he wanted to give late night a run, and
he did. Like,
didn't
he
do
left,
that well.
Like, if you think of the shows that he left, you think of, like, how well The Daily Show is done. Think of how well James Corden is done. Now, Corden wasn't the guy that replaced it. It was Craig Ferguson. I know people, like, who cares?
Yeah.
I haven't even read the comments. People are going to be like, oh, Richard's like, rank, come on. Crystal Meth Santa Claus.
Oh,
Maybe.
boy. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, hey, listen, our time is running short. You got to run, which is fine. But yeah, man, another great show. We got another show, obviously, every Wednesday. For those folks who are still with us, please like and subscribe. Do appreciate it. And I thought it was a lot of fun kind of talking about these trade scenarios in Atlanta that will absolutely never happen.
No, yeah.
They're
It's always fun
never.
to make trades up.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, why don't they do it? Why don't they trade player for player? Like, why don't they
I'd
do
love
this?
To see it. What was the last big
You know?
one? Was it Clinton Portis for Champ Bailey?
I think so. I can't think of a bigger player for player. It's always player for draft picks.
Yeah.
Every single time.
For sure.
There's never a player. It's never player for player.
Never.
That's a great, man, what a great callback. Champ Bailey for Clinton Port. Holy hell. That's good.
Thank you.
I don't know how the hell you just pulled that out of thin air. That's amazing, bro.
That's sort of my job, but okay.
All right, man. For Adam Wright, James Coe, we will see you guys next week, 10 a.m. Wednesday.